But of my father's many children, I was not the first son, I was not the firstborn, I was not the lastborn. But of my father's many children, I was the only one that was taken to school. And I felt that it was punishment at the time because my father was a rich man by village standards. You needed to be a rich man by village standards to have 5 wives, a big farm, several crowds of cattle and various other animals. So he was a rich man, and I was picked out from the village and dropped in town to go to school, but because there was no school in that village, Argentina. So I felt it was punishment. But today, the entire family, not just my father's family, but the extended family, and here I'm talking about my father and his brothers and his sisters, so my uncles and aunties, and all of the people that is made up of that family. I'm the only one that went to school of that age. Now I will tell you, when the stories were told about integrity, I'll tell you, because I am such the only one, and I insist that everyone should take their kids to school, including my many brothers and sisters, I have to take care of the cost of every one of them, including the cost of those who are farming and everything else. So you have a huge responsibility on a daily basis to cough up the resources that you need. And so if there is anyone in Ghana who has every reason to be corrupt, I will be number one, because I have the best of reasons why I should steal money and go and take care of the family back home. But I want to say that to the glory of God, that it is the last thing that I want to do. And I'll give you a few examples. Number one example is that those of you who run across the Medina Road, when you get to the electricity company between Legon and Presed, you see this building, which is the business school graduate building. There's a new building coming up. It's our ultra-modern lecture and office complex for us. We are building it. We are building it largely from our internally generated funds. The core and shell alone is 145 million cedis. The electricals and all of that, those other things, including the things that, the IT things that we envisage, is another 100 million. I'm talking about 250 million Ghana cedis. Today, the cut in town is no longer 10%. It's 20%, 30%. But if I decided to be conservative and I went in for 10%, I would go home comfortably with 25 million cedis. And that is enough for me to retire. I have 8 more years to retire. But I told myself that the God that I serve, if I can go to, and like I said, I was the only one that came from the village of Fetish, and I decided to give my life to Christ and gave my life to Christ. And then I come and lead a school. And I don't want to say a few of those things. Otherwise, those of you who know the people doing the work, you will know them and you will say I've accused them. But I get an offer, and the offer was, name what you want. And I told them, the next time you tell me or talk to me this nonsense, the devil will have to suck you up and your company. And I made it very clear from day one, from all meetings, that the only bribe that I want for that building is that it will finish on time, it will finish with quality, and I'll put my name on it. So listen, you would, when you live here, and the stories that we have heard, the many stories that you have heard, especially the stories that border on ethics and being able to stand and to refuse wrong. It's a situation that has made our country what it is. The situation where, everyone, literally, is not willing to hold themselves responsible and will not deny themselves of anything, but think that others should do so. How many of you here, students, if the president were your father, he will come to Legon? Hello? If the president were your father, you are Nanado Jr., would you come to Legon? Where would you go? So why do you blame the president when he takes his children to Dubai, he takes his children to Oxford, he takes his children? So you see that we've gotten to that mood where you are not willing to restrain yourself, but you expect someone to restrain themselves. We've gotten to that point where because you are not willing to restrain yourself, and because you go to church, you are a Christian. I'm not too sure whether you are a Christian or you go to church. But because you go to church and you do that and you cannot hold your head up, we denigrate Christianity so hard, such that a country that has over 70% of us, quote, Christians, since Transparency International instituted its corruption perception index and Ghana enrolled, we have never crossed the 50% mark. Because our society has become so terrible. So, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you that you have spent your evening, energizing these young people to choose the path of righteousness. Because it is only that which would give you or separate the men from the boys, the way we say it. So that when you get colleagues come to you and say, do creative accounting so that you can be rich. Park the figures so that you can be rich. We will not do it. And make sure that you give your life to Christ and begin to follow the teachings of